Okay, welcome back, guys. Welcome to day three. Is it day three? Man, time flies when you're having fun. Hopefully, you're having fun. I'm having fun. Oh my goodness. So, I thought I would start off today by just giving us like a little summary overview of what we've covered so far, just to kind of like contextualize where we're at, give ourselves a framework that we're working with, and just, yeah, know where we are. So, day one was all about the quiz funnel. So, understanding how you can use a quiz to bring people into your work, into your business, um, and really, thinking about a quiz as a way of really leveraging good content. So, rather than creating lots of posts that kind of just like disappear forever, it's like create some posts for sure, but take your well-performing ones, put them into a quiz funnel and have them working as long as you're continuing to put people into that quiz funnel, keep them active and flowing, right? One of the things I really love about a good quiz funnel is it is so effective for positioning. And what do I mean by positioning? So, the concept of positioning is really helping people understand what the problem is that they're dealing with and what type of solution is available for them. That's positioning, right? So you can have an offer. Let's say your offer is like energy healing. Okay. Positioning is more about understanding, well, what is your niche? What problems do you solve? What type of solution does your client need? So, in order to be good at positioning, I might say something like, if you've been suffering from unexplained migraines, the type of Reiki I specialize in can help you for X, Y, and Z reason. Okay. So that would be positioning. Another example that would be directly related to me is like numerology. Okay. So my offer might be a numerology reading, but most of the time people aren't waking up being like, oh, I need a numerology reading today. Right. They're going, whatever else is going on in their life. They're like, oh, I'm not trusting myself, or oh, I don't understand why this pattern keeps emerging in my life, or I can't understand why, these relationships I'm struggling with. Then they're looking for a solution to solve, well, why do I keep getting stuck in repeating patterns? Why am I struggling in these relationships? Why is my intuition, not working properly? And then it's up to me to position numerology and say, if you are seeing number patterns, your intuition is speaking to you through numbers. If you are noticing yourself stuck in patterns that repeat over and over again, and you're looking to heal that, book a numerology reading with me because I can help you X, Y, and Z, right? So that's the concept of positioning. And quizzes do that for us in a really natural way, because it's kind of like, when that challenge was going around on like TikTok and stuff where it was like, put a finger down, right? That's what your quiz is doing. And your quiz is like, put a finger down if this is true for you, put a finger down if that's true for you. And then the person's like, oh my God, they get to the end of the quiz and they're like, that's so me. That's so me. Right. And so it's really effective to position. Okay. So we talked a lot about quiz funnels in day one. Now, now that we get it, we're all like, yeah, I want a quiz funnel. That's great. Sounds great. I want one. But in order for your quiz funnel to actually work, you need to understand, what are you trying to position? Right? And that's where day two comes in. That's where understanding, what is your stage 1, 2, and 3 business model? What are you positioning? How are your clients moving from your marketing and your free content, right? From stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3. How are they moving through? And how, we're going to talk a little bit more about this today, but how does each stage position the next one? And this is one of the ones where the better you get at this, the higher your conversion rates will be. Okay. So for those of you who don't know what a conversion rate is, it just means the number of people who go from one step to the next step. So if I have 100 people attending a free training, the number of people that buy my paid training, that is my conversion rate. Okay. Usually expressed as a percentage, right? So if it was like 10%, then that meant 10 people out of 100 bought. Okay. The higher your conversion rate is, the less heavy lifting you need to do in your business, the more efficient it is, the more effective it is. Like, it saves you a lot of time to really think about, what your conversion rates are. When your conversion rates are low, there's a few problems that you can kind of like diagnose, right? Either you're not positioning effectively, so people don't understand why they would need to move from step 1 to step 2. Okay. People, and we always think, as a provider, we think like, well, they should just know, like they know I do this stuff. Like, no, nobody knows anything. Like people are so full in their own minds of the loud and crazy world that they live in, and they're so focused on the problem, right? They're so focused on the problem. They're focused on the patterns and the relationships and the thises and the that's. They're not focused on like, oh, numerology can help me. That's my job to articulate them that numerology can help them. That's positioning. Okay. So when you set up your business model with stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, yes, you want to think about like, what do I want to sell, promote, offer, and work on? What are the things, the projects, what's the type of work I love to do? Because your energy obviously is like paramount. You need to be excited about it. It needs to make sense to you. It needs to be something you're good at, all of that. But then you also need to think of like, what's an effective journey for a client to move through? And why would a client, move in the journey that they're moving through? Because, the adage that it's easier to keep an existing client than find a new one is very, very true. And most of you will end up finding that your stage 3 clients have already been in stage 1 and 2 for a chunk of time. Most people don't come into your world and leap into stage 3. It does happen. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen. It does happen, but most of them have been with you on a journey for some time before they're ready to make a relatively large investment with you. Okay. Now, and when I say some time, does that mean like days, months, years? It could, but it could also mean some time with really effective content where they're like, yes, she's talking to the problem I have. Yes, she's clearly articulated why this is going to help me with that problem and what solution is available to me and how I go about getting that solution. So if you can clearly and effectively articulate that, that's going to shrink the time, especially if it's like a time sensitive issue, right? Like going back to the headache example, I don't want to wait 6 months to get my headache solved. Like I want it solved now, right? So the better I can be at positioning, the easier it is. When people go to their default scenarios, like let's look at the headache example. What's a default solution for headaches? Like Tylenol, right? That's a default solution. Why is it a default solution? Because I have spent my whole life being programmed by Tylenol that if I have a pain, I take a Tylenol and my pain will be solved. It might not even work, right? How many people take Tylenol? It doesn't actually even work for them, right? But I have been programmed to believe it, so it becomes my default scenario. So when you are offering something that's a little unique, something that's a little different, which some of you are, not all of you are, some of you have products and services that are very well understood, but many of you have products and services that are a little bit like intangible and maybe not well understood. The more true that is for you, the better you need to be at positioning because people don't know and people aren't out there seeking, quantum touch. The vast majority of people who probably need quantum touch don't even know what that means, right? So that's where positioning is critical. Okay, so a little summary of the 3-step business model. And that brings us to today. Today, we're going to talk about magnetic marketing and client attraction. Before I dive into that, does anyone have any questions on any of the like little bits and pieces I said in summary or even from the previous calls that they want to like said with love? Nobody knows anything. It's so true. I know nothing. And I'm the kind of consumer that I love being sold to in a really good way. Like when someone can help me really understand what's going on and really position the actual issue at hand and provide me an effective solution, I will like eat that up like candy. I love it. Like just tell me what to do. Right? Has anyone ever said that? Like I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. Someone just tell me what to do. That is our job as marketers, right? We know the solution inside and out, which is why it's our genius. So it's our job to tell them. That's part of what we do. Okay, let's get into marketing for a second. I feel like marketing is like the dirty word in business. Does anybody else have like an ick feeling around the word marketing? Some people nodding their heads. I am here to reclaim that. And I hope, like, this is my mission on today's call. Okay. My mission on today's call is to reclaim the word marketing and to help us all have a loving, respectful, honorable, like, good relationship with marketing. Because truly, marketing is healing. That's how I feel. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys some tools, give you some strategy, gives you some tips and techniques, and hopefully turn you into people who love marketing. That's my secret desire here. All right. Okay. Few questions. Number one, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, jot this down in your notebook. How much do you love marketing? Scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, I love it, do it all day long. 1 being, I hate it, I never want to do it, I wish I never had to market. Oftentimes I'll come across people who are like, I wish I never had to market. I wish I could just do my service all day long, right? Like I didn't become, let's say, a numerologist to like be a marketing expert. I became a numerologist to do numerology, right? Or I didn't become a therapist to be a marketing expert. I became a therapist to do therapy, right? Has anyone ever had those thoughts? Totally valid. But I'm going to challenge those today. Yes, I love it. Okay, there's a whole broad spectrum here. I love it. 6, 7, 8, 100%. All good. 8. Okay, great. What is your most favorite kind of marketing? What do you most enjoy in your marketing? And then I also want you to think of what's your least favorite kind of marketing. So maybe you like social media, maybe you hate social media, maybe you like email, maybe you hate email, maybe you like networking, maybe you hate networking, right? We're all different. Maybe you like doing videos, maybe you like doing trainings, maybe you hate doing both of those. Launching is a type of marketing that gets a really bad rap, and a lot of people say they hate launching. That's another one I'd like to challenge, considering I like launching. But it wasn't always that way, and there's some very particular reasons why I like launching now. The creative aspect is my favorite. Creating reels, writing copy, creating graphics. Yes, I love writing too. And I totally think of my Instagram as my art, right? That is my art. That is my creative art expression. I love networking, creating reels, writing, creating graphics. Yeah, so good. Okay. The question I want to ask you, yes, I don't like having to commit to a weekly newsletter. It feels like a burden. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Release it if you don't want to, right? There's no rules of how you have to do anything. But I will say there's some strategies that are more effective than others. Obviously, if your energy is not behind them, they won't be effective. So it's 2 pieces, right? Love networking, love socials, and would like to have a strategy, right? Absolutely. Love creating graphics. Yeah. Okay. So what is the purpose of marketing? Why do we market? Why do we market? In like the most direct sense ever. Sell things, right? Market to sell things. That is like literally why we market. To sell things and to make money. Okay. Let's make it that definition, to sell things and to make money. And yeah, totally. So why do we have a bad taste in our mouth about marketing? The reason we have a bad taste in our mouth about marketing is because most of us are highly sensitive and very attuned to energy. And when marketing is used in toxic ways, we can feel that and it repels us, right? So if you've ever been marketed to in a toxic or unhealthy way, like a sleazy salesman, or been, manipulated marketing tactics, there's a lot of sales tactics and strategies and techniques that are damaging and can actually be like traumatic to people. It can actually create trauma, right? Yeah, urgency piece, scammy, pushy, any of this kind of stuff. And so people who are sensitive to energy can feel that energy and it creates a repulsion, right? It pushes you away and you don't want to be a part of it. Rightfully so. But I think the finer point to recognize here is that it's not the marketing that's the problem. It's the like energy contained within the marketing that's the problem, right? So toxic marketing versus like, I don't know, empowered marketing, right? Or scarcity-based marketing versus, let's say, abundance-based marketing, right? So marketing that employs unhealthy or toxic patterns is repulsive for people who are sensitive to energy. It does work though, right? It does work on certain clients, which is why that marketing has been like popularized by so many people. But it also leads to things like buyer's remorse or regret, because toxic marketing will actually put your nervous system into a state of fight or flight. So you don't have access to the same parts of your brain. You're not thinking clearly. You'll make the decision, right, out of fear, right? And then like the next day you'll wake up and you're like, oh my God, why did I buy that thing? Right? You'll also find that if you are working with clients who tend to buy in that kind of mode, it's also going to impact the way they're able to achieve results with you. Some of your most difficult clients will often be in those like states that are really hard to work with. Some of you have skills to help your clients when they're in those states, which thankfully you do because that's so important. But you will find that people who make decisions from more of an empowered place, they're a lot easier to work with as clients. You can get the transformation you want with a lot more ease. They are like less of the like high maintenance clients, right? And these are all things to kind of sort of consider and take into account when you're thinking about your marketing tactics. But the thing is, this is shifting now. We can all see this. And let me just put on my econ geek hat for a minute, attribute a lot of this shift to the housing crash and the subprime mortgage crisis of like 2009 and 2010. Do you guys like remember that vaguely? When there was like the mortgage crisis, when there was all these like mortgages that were worth way more than the houses and people were walking away from the houses and the banks collapsed and a bunch of banks closed and a lot of people, like especially in the United States, like the banks would close and people had no money, and these long-standing financial institutions that have been around for 100 years or 200 years closed their doors. Do you guys remember that? It was a while back now. I probably remember it more because I'm an econ geek. But it was very scary and very traumatic. People were losing their houses, people were losing their life savings. Like it was awful. And it took a lot of like cities and regions, a decade or more to recover from. It affected us in Canada to a lesser extent, but it's dramatically dropped housing prices like 30+%, right? In the States, even more than that. So why am I saying all this? Because back then we had this idea that if there was a long-standing company that had been around for 100 years or official looking building and la 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 la, that we could trust them, right? Like we trusted those companies. Well, they collapsed and lost our money, right? And they engaged in really dangerous marketing practices and really dangerous market and finance practices, but we trusted them. And so when this collapse happened, it was really scary. People lost trust in a lot of big companies, which is to our benefit as little people, because people don't want to do business with faceless companies. Just because you've been around for 100 years doesn't mean I trust you. Just because you've got a staff of 1 billion people doesn't mean I trust you. I want to know who you are. I want to understand who you are. What your client's actually saying is, I want to feel your energy, right? I want to be able to feel you. They may not say it in those words, depending on how intuitive your clients are, but they're basing their decisions on their intuition. So in order to base their decisions on their intuition, how you feel, if they know you, if they trust you, is they have to get to know you first, which is marketing, right? They have to get to know and understand who you are, right? So the definition of marketing in my mind needs to shift because of that. We have put so many of our ideas that marketing looks a certain way. And to me, marketing is only about really getting to know, understand, and feel the energetic exchange that is available with our clients, right? Who we're buying from and who we're selling our things to. Okay. So here's the question I want to ask you is, what if your marketing is actually able to create massive well-being and change for your people? Are you willing to believe that that's possible? That your marketing can create massive well-being and change for your people? You might need to rate that. It might not be a hard yes or a hard no. It might be like 60% true for me or whatever. That's fine. Whatever it is. Are you willing to look at your marketing as a gift? Are you willing to look at your marketing as a gift for your client, knowing that you are supporting them to get ready for change? Some of the changes that you're able to give to your clients are sacred, they're intimate, they're precious. People can't just jump in with 2 feet to something like that. They need a space to attune, to acclimate to the energy. Most people don't make transformational based decisions on a whim, right? Most people have been thinking about it for some time, right? They've either been reading books about it, consuming content online about it, talking to their friends about it, and reflecting on it. And then at some point, they're like, ooh, I'm ready. I'm ready to take this step. And that's when they'll buy. So the marketing piece is the talking to your friends about it, the reading the books on it, the getting lost in the algorithm and consuming all the Instagram reels on it, the email lists you subscribe to, the podcasts you listen to, the topics of conversation you're having with your friends, or at a networking event. That's all marketing. And that is priming for transformation. Do you guys feel what I'm saying? That is, if you start looking at that as the pre-work, like what if you change the name from marketing to pre-work? This is the pre-work. This is the work that you need to do to put your mind and your body and your energy field in the right place to be able to properly receive the actual work itself. It's pre-work. That's all it is. Like, okay. So you mean the more effective your marketing is, the better the transformation you can provide? Absolutely. Which is where things come back to like conversion rates, retention, referral, some of those more like traditional marketing facts that you would want, you'd want to kind of keep track of those kinds of numbers. Well, they come back to like, how effective was your pre-work? How effective was the way you were able to help your client feel seen, heard, and understood, help them understand the problem, and effectively position the solution in an energetically aligned way, right? Are you guys kind of with me on this now? Okay, cool. I love it. So knowing that they have to do the pre-work, there was energetic preparation. I'm like looking at my notes as we go here because I want to make sure that I make this point. Part of your, job to embrace marketing, it's a choice. You don't have to, right? If you don't want to embrace marketing though, it's just, your business is just going to look different, right? And that's fine. It's going to be harder. But marketing is energetic preparation, right? It prepares your client to the solution, and the solution is your offer, right? So if the numerology reading is the solution, my marketing is preparing them for that. And I am not everybody's numerologist, right? Like, I don't like doing love readings. And a person would know that if they consumed my pre-work, right? If they were looking for a love reading and they didn't get any comments around love in my pre-work, they would not be booking me for the love reading, right? That's not what I enjoy doing with my numerology. So the pre-work is also like niching to know what you want to do, what's within your scope of practice. It's also like this pre-qualifying energy. So the people who do come in, it's like, that's what I want. I want the business focused numerology reading. Those are the types of readings I most love to do. That's 99% of the numerology readings I do is focused on business. That's not for everybody, right? And that's perfect. So my pre-work prepares them for it, right? Okay. Knowing that your marketing is a pre-work, it is actually an extension of your healing gifts. Okay. Your marketing is not separate from your healing gifts. It's an extension of your healing gifts. And I'm going to say healing gifts is like a general, you might not call yourself a healer, but you're here to help people. You're here to create transformation. You're here to create impact, whatever it is, right? So the marketing is an extension of that. And the question is, if you approached marketing with the same devotion and attention and love that you approach your client sessions with, what do you think would change in your business? And that's a question I want you to like sit with for a minute. If I approach my marketing with the same level of love and devotion as I approach my client sessions with, what would change in my business? The follow-up question to that is, what if I found the same level of delight in serving clients at the free level, which is your marketing level, as I do at the paid level? Because once you create the business model, like I shared with you on Friday, this is something we will be doing in the Abundant Business Mentorship. You will know exactly every free client I serve generates X amount of dollars in my business. It's a mathematical formula, right? Based on, like I mentioned earlier, if I know I have 100 people sign up for a free training, I know my conversion rate is 10%, which means 10 of them will join a paid product. I can do the math then to figure out it's called earnings per lead, right? How much money gets generated from one free client? It's a dollar figure, right? Like it's an actual mathematical calculation that you can know. And then you get to decide, number one, how much time do I want to spend doing that? Number two, what is the most efficient way for me to do it to raise my earning per lead? How do I improve my conversion rates so that my earnings per lead can go up? Right? And also thinking about that 3-stage journey of like stage 1 being the free, stage 2 being accessible, and stage 3 being more profitable. And just watching when your clients move through that journey. Okay. So the second piece about this is I kind of focused a little bit on how it's of benefit to the client in terms of its energetic preparation. Okay. I now focus a little bit on how it's like, for me, it generates income, right? I can see how when I market, it brings in a client. That's me. That's how I make money. Okay. The next part I really want you to understand is that when your client faces a problem, and you guys are also intuitive, I know you'll kind of get this from the intuitive place, they're experiencing an energetic weight, right? They're experiencing an energetic weight, an energetic burden. Something is holding them back. They have a problem, okay? The longer they sit with this energetic weight or burden or problem on their shoulders, it is draining life force energy. Would you guys agree with me on that? It is draining life force energy. And some of you might think like, well, I don't know how this is draining life force energy. I'm just going to use Kristen, for example, right? So it's like, well, not having updated photo shoots, is that a weight on my shoulder? Is that draining life force energy? Well, it is if it's preventing me from making sales. It is if it makes my website convert at 5% versus 10%. It is if it's making it hard to create relationships because my photos don't look like me. So when I go to a networking event, nobody recognizes me. You know what I mean? Like, what is the cost of not having my problem solved? That's the energetic weight. And I want you to think about this for a second. The cost of your problem not being solved, your client's problem not being solved, is an energetic weight. The longer they take to solve it, the longer that cost is being borne by them, right? The longer you're in an unhealthy relationship, the longer your website isn't converting effectively, the longer you're struggling in a toxic pattern, the longer you're, whatever. That is cumulative now. It's adding up, right? So you are literally costing your clients money by not helping them solve their problem. You are robbing them of the abundance that is available to them by not helping them solve their problem. So when you don't give yourself permission to be a good marketer, you're blocking abundance from you because you can't make money. You're blocking abundance from them because now they're carrying the burden of this problem even longer than they would have if you had been willing to talk to them about it and give them a solution. You guys with me on this? So marketing is actually one of the most sacred, abundant practices a person can do because you're giving of your gifts generously for free. It's so loving. And this is why I always think it's such a mind trip that the people who have the most gifts to share are the ones who are most resistant to marketing. What kind of toxic program has been running that's created that reality? That is messed up. It's so messed up. Okay. So when you are willing to step into this, 2 things will happen. And when I say step into this, some of you are already doing this. So up level it, whatever, enhance it, strengthen it, whatever it is. When you're willing to do that, it's going to enhance the availability of abundance for you and for your client, which means collectively, right? It's enhancing this collectively. So when you look at on Friday, I had written down a number, or I had you write down a number, I should say, and circle it about what was the extra amount per month you wanted to make based on where you're at right now and where you'd like to be. Do you guys kind of have that number sort of handy or remember at least what it was? So when you start to think about this, can you see how a healthy, powerful relationship with marketing can actually help to enhance that number in terms of you're going to be getting to that point, right? Right? Such a powerful reframe. Such a powerful reframe. Marketing is healing. That's it. Marketing is healing. And it's healing we do for free, which means we should love it more because we're all such generous hearted people. But we should also love to get paid for our paid work, right? It's both. But I love it because one of you guys asked me on, I think it was Friday, about my free trainings and things like that. And that's why I love them so much. Because I'm if people can't afford to work with me, that's totally fine. Come to my free trainings. I know you'll get value out of it. And then I'm when you're ready, you'll pay. I just understand how the model works and how the step-by-step system works, right? Okay. So 2 things are true. Number 1, your marketing is healing people. Your marketing is healing people and changing lives. So burn that into your subconscious brain so that you're willing to send the emails, to market, to put the post up, to say the awkward thing at the networking event. Your marketing is healing people. Number 2, your marketing is the gateway to wealth and abundance, both for you and your person, right? We talked about the energetic weight. So marketing is the pathway to wealth and abundance for you and your person. Okay. Are you guys with me? Do you guys understand how you selling your services can activate abundance in your clients? You guys feel that? Okay. I want to make sure everyone's with me on that. Okay. And let's just flip that for one quick second. So not being willing to sell your products, not being willing to market your products is actually adding to the financial burden or the energetic weight that your people are experiencing, right? And, yeah, sure, they could hire other healers and energy workers and whatever. But this is one of the things I love so much about understanding how numerology fits into this is because there are certain types of people that you are meant to support. There are certain types of people that you have a specific code to support, and they are coded to work with you, right? So, for example, actually, before I'm going to get to that in a minute, but the question I want to ask you, and I want you to use your intuition on this, okay? Because I always get the feeling, I know some of you have been around since I was talking about marketing visibility in the witch wound, but I often get the feeling that many energy workers and healers are hesitant to be visible because of like residual witch wound energy, right? And if that is you, you'll probably resonate by me just saying that. It might feel true to you, right? So may or may not, but the discomfort in being visible is because of historic judging or shaming or, ridicule, or even in grade 3 when you said the wrong thing and the class laughed, or like whatever, right? Like it's not, it's not a leap to be like, yeah, it's vulnerable to be visible. It's risky to be visible. The question I want you to tune into your intuition and ask yourself this is, by me resisting marketing and visibility, how much money is it costing me and my business? And just see if a number floats to the surface for you. Just for kind of awareness sake. Now, to kind of go back to the conversation we were having earlier, the type of marketing matters, right? So if you market with the energy of scarcity, just for the pure sake of people's energetics and intuition picking it up, it's going to create a certain dynamic, right? Also is true if you market with the energy of hating marketing, that's also going to be infused in the energetic imprint of your marketing, right? So being willing to say that I can find joy in it, or I can find pleasure in it, or I can find fun in it. And I'm not going to pretend that marketing is 10 out of 10 fun every single day, all day long. There's certainly days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to force myself to sit down and do this, right? You never have to be perfect at anything. But if you can remind yourself of where the fun is, where the joy is, and make sure that you continue to have those pieces of like, okay, yes, I have to do a reel today, but let me remind myself of how reels are my art, and I'm going to make it fun and playful and creative. And I'm going to be in my creative zone as I do it. That's going to be that slight shift that's going to create that energetic imprint in your marketing, and your people will feel that, right? Okay. A couple of mindsets and beliefs that I hold true to my heart when I market that help me with this. You guys ready for this? I have these written down in a handout for you that I will give you the link to access later, if you want it. But here they are. Okay. Number 1, my business is a sacred temple. My business is a sacred temple. That is how I view my business. The energy is precious and sacred. The people who get to come and interact with it are in a sacred space. And because of that, my ability to hold sacred energy is critical, right? And that's going to reflect the quality of the experiences in my container. Number 2, my energy is medicine for my soulmate clients. My energy is medicine. So when they come across my content, it's medicine to them. This is something that their soul is desiring to experience, right? My marketing is the channel to allow my clients to receive the medicine. They need a channel, they need a vehicle, they need a way of receiving it. Like it's a spoon. They need a way to get the medicine. So the marketing is the channel for that. This is one of my favorite ones. And once you know it, you can't unknow it. You can feel the energetic ask of your clients. You can feel it. We all have the ability to feel this. It doesn't make anybody special if they can. Everyone has the ability to feel the energetic ask. It's a practice. You can learn how to do it over time. But guaranteed right now, if you sat down in quiet meditative state with a very clear vision of your business and who you wanted to help, and you ask the question, what does my ideal client most want and need to know right now? You would get a very clear answer. And that's you picking up on their energetic ask. Does that make sense? So what's marketing then? Marketing is just listening and attuning to that and being willing to speak to that. Listening and attuning to the challenges they're facing, the struggles they're having, attuning to it, being able to express it and speak about it and invite them into the solutions that are available to them. How do those mindsets feel? Amazing. I love it. Any questions about them? Any of you that's like in disbelief around any of these that needs to like talk it through a little? Oh, look at the hearts. Yay, hearts. I love it. Okay. It's not all energy though. It's energy and strategy. Okay. It's energy and strategy. We need both. So one of the strategies I use, some of you I think have done this one already with me, but I'll share the link. I'm not going to go into teaching it in this class because I won't have enough time, but it's called one idea to a week's worth of content. And it's a very simple technique I use where you can take one idea, one little teeny thought, and turn it into a week's worth of content. And it has been a game changer in my business since I implemented it, like, I don't even know, a year or two ago. So I have a download for you guys on that. It's totally free. You can access it. And that is part of the, like, once you tune into the energetic ask of your ideal client, this is what you do with that. Okay. The other piece relates to your 3-stage business model. So the 3-stage business model, this I'm kind of be referring to positioning again, right? People pay to have a problem solved. That's what people pay for, right? Sure, we also might pay for like things like entertainment or pleasure or whatever. But when you start to flip it, you can see that it's also like the lack of that is a problem. Like the lack of entertainment is like the problem of being bored, or you know what I mean? So arguably, even if it's like I'm buying a ticket to a concert or I'm going to a party or a festival or a thing, it's like, well, that's just for fun. There's a problem that's still at the root of that they are looking to solve. They're looking to, access a new community. They're bored. Their life isn't fun at home. Like, I don't know, whatever it is, right? So people pay to have a problem solved. This is critical to understand. Inherent in every problem, or sorry, I'm gonna say it wrong. This is the critical piece. Inherent in every solution, there is another problem. Every solution you provide, I guarantee you a new problem will pop up. Okay? Guaranteed. It might be a problem you can help them with, or it might not be, right? Like, let's just even go back to Kristen's example for a second of like, oh, my website's not converting the greatest. Nobody knows who I am because my pictures don't look like me. I'm going to get new pictures now. Well, now maybe the problem is I don't know how to make my branding reflective of me, or maybe I don't know how to change my website, right? Like I have these photos now, what do I do with them, right? And Kristen might not help with website design, so that's not a problem for her to solve. But the critical piece here, when you're thinking of your stage 1, 2, 3 business model, is when I solve this problem, a new problem is going to crop up. And is that one I can solve? Because if you can take your stage 1, 2, and 3 to be a problem and solution stack, you guys understand what I'm saying? That is where your conversions will be gold. We talked about this a little bit on Friday with my business model, where I'm like, I'm happy to give out information for free, right? Like I'm teaching you guys this training. I'm teaching you about the 3-stage business model, teaching about marketing, totally free. Because I understand that that gives the solution to you saying to yourself, I don't know what to do. Now you know what to do, right? You could listen to this recording 10 times, you know exactly what to do. You might not know how to do it. And you might run into insecurities and fears that your decisions around it maybe aren't right, or you don't know, or you want someone to talk it through, or you try this and it didn't work, and now you're not quite sure what to do next. So then my stage 2 is to provide the solution for that, which is like, do it with me in a 6-month container. You know what to do, that's great, but most people still need help with the how. And every time they run into roadblocks and challenges, we'll do it together, right? Then you can share the ideas with me, and I'll point out if I see a gap, and I'll help you if I see an opportunity, and we'll do it together. And anytime you run into a bump, we'll walk through it together. It's like, okay, great, right? This is why, people like Tony Robbins, for example, he'll write the book, right? And you can buy the book for $20. Or if you wanted to go to his event, it's like $3,000 or whatever. And it's the exact same freaking content as the book. It's because information doesn't change anything. Like, we have access to so much information. It doesn't change anything. The energy is the thing. The energy is the thing. But oftentimes our analytical mind, rightfully so, we're meant to be a combination of both, comes in and is like, well, I need to justify this. I need to have logic around it. I need to have strategy around it. It needs to make sense. Like, all of that. Like, we have the ability to strategize for a reason, right? So it's like, if you read Tony Robbins' book and you hate his messaging, don't spend the $3,000 to go to his event. That would be crazy. If you come to my free training and you're like, this lady is nuts, don't join my paid thing, right? Like, it's a great way for us to both have that experience of qualifying, you trying things on for size, me knowing that if you've heard me talk about the woo stuff to this point, I can keep going with that, right? I don't have to be different than I am. So, like, it's part of the journey, right? It's part of the journey. Okay. So the problem and solution strategy, this is critical in your marketing, right? Are you guys with me on this like problem solution thing? You need to understand in stage 1 and stage 2 and stage 3, I'm solving this problem, but there's a new problem cropping up. What's the new problem? If your stage 1, 2, and 3 doesn't deal with that kind of leapfrog effect, your conversions will go down. And even if it does deal with that leapfrog effect, but you don't know how to position it effectively, that's why people aren't buying. Because they don't know. You're the expert. You need to tell us. Like, we don't know. We don't know where all our gaps are, where all our blind spots are. Like, we have no clue. That's why we need to hire you. That's why we need you to help us, walk us through it, baby step us through it, and say to us, once you get to this stage, this is what's going to come up for you, right? Once you get to this point, this is how you're going to feel. This is what's going to come up. And that's kind, right? For me to understand, if I take this journey and I start to walk through these stages with you, it reminds me, like, I didn't, like, what if you guys left this training and I made you believe that this was all you needed to be successful? And then you left and you went to try to figure it out and you couldn't. What would happen? You'd be like, I'm a complete failure. It's all me. I'm a problem. I'm wrong and bad, right? Instead of me being like, here's what I can share with you. And this is where people fall through the cracks or struggle or whatever, is like the implementation, the action taking, running into problems, needing to have brainstorms, needing a fresh perspective. And that's what I'll help you with if you want help, right? That's positioning. That's positioning. And we all have to be able to do that, because otherwise, why would anyone pay if they think they're going to get it just by reading the $20 book versus attending the $3,000 class, right? Why would you? I would hunt you down, right? Totally. Okay. Any questions about understanding positioning from this stage of the problem solution leapfrog game? Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to just reiterate this. Within each level of your business model, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, you need to solve the problem and articulate the emergent problem. Okay. Solve the problem and articulate the emergent problem. That's how you position. Okay. So even, for example, in numerology, I do free numerology training every single year, where I teach people some certain codes for free, but then I help them to understand that numerology isn't just about reading the description in the book. that they actually can develop an energetic and intuitive relationship with the numbers. And that requires an ongoing training and an ongoing teaching. And if they would like, they can join my numerology certification to get that. Right? So it's like I solve problem, but articulate what's the next problem that's going to come up. You don't want to have to rely on Google to figure out what 333 means every time you see it. You want to feel it. You want to know it, right? Like that's positioning. Okay. So the next question I want to ask you guys is, number one, I want you to think of a couple of things. What have you learned within this training? My goal for this training was to help you grow your client base, grow your income. That was my goal, right? Like it was called something like, what was it even called? Overwhelmed to overflow. Scarcity practices that are blocking that. And then this is all about learning the abundant practices to attract clients and revenue. Okay. So I want you to just think to yourself, what have been like the 2 or 3 key things I've picked up that are going to be key in helping me grow my client base and grow my income? Yeah, Maggie, that's a great question. If you have more than one product you're offering, then you need to have the 3 pillars of solving and articulating within. So that's a great question. And I'm glad we have a one-on-one booked, because when I was looking at your website, I was like, there's a lot of pieces here. So, this is the problem when we have more than one like entry level, is you either need to focus, like pick timelines to focus on them, or you need to understand what's the main entry level, and then maybe it branches up from there. Like maybe you have stage one, but several stage 2s and several stage 3s. I do have sort of 2 parallel ones, because I have the business one and I have the numerology one. But there are definitely times when I struggle with that, because if I get invited on podcasts or something like that, I'm like, okay, which hat do I want to wear on this podcast? Do I want to wear the numerologist hat, or do I want to wear the business hat? And so it does create, like, I wouldn't necessarily say it's ideal for me to have these 2 parallel pillars. I think people sometimes would maybe benefit from just picking one. But I also am like, I never want to limit myself or anybody else who has multiple creative ventures that they are obsessed with. So, but we'll talk about that when we have our one-on-one. Yeah. Any other questions, or do you guys know what yes, Heather, I love this. I feel a shift already with my perspective on marketing. Yes. Moving from I have to into I can't wait to create. Yes. So good. Okay. So ideally you want to think about what are the 2 or 3 things you got from this call? And then the next question is, what are the reasons that you can make these changes? And what will be the reason that makes it hard to make these changes? To put it clear in your own mind, what do I need to make these changes, right? And what will make it tricky for me? Just to know, because for you, knowing this is going to give you the power to either continue to move forward with it or, not. It's up to you, but make the choice like consciously versus like falling into it, if that makes sense. And I wanted to share with you guys my 5 key things. Okay. My 5 key things that I feel set me up for success in my business. Okay. I was just like, okay, what are the 5 things that make it so that when I am looking to grow or expand or something like that in my business, that I feel make that happen? So number 1, having business besties around. I cannot say how important it is to have a community of entrepreneurially minded friends who will hear the crazy idea and like ignore the crazy part and celebrate the good part, because the world around you will find the crazy and highlight it, right? Like the improbable, I should say, or the unlikely or the difficult, right? The world around you is always looking for reasons why it won't work. Not your entrepreneurial minded besties, right? Your business besties will be like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, I need to hear more. Like, tell me more. Like, what? Like, oh my gosh, and they want to hear the chance that it could succeed or whatever. You know what I mean? And I think this is so important because, you know, before I had a community like that, if I had taken some of these, like the idea that I ran last year, a workshop on healing the witch wound, you think if I had asked mom and dad if that was a good idea, what kind of reaction I would have got? My mom being an accountant and my dad being a teacher, they would have thought I was completely nuts, right? And I wouldn't have done it. Meanwhile, it was an incredibly successful workshop and I had a ton of new clients come out of it and it was a great experience. I loved it. It was fun for me to deliver. Like it was great. So business besties, where you can both give and receive support, which is one of the reasons why I love group coaching. Because if you don't already have a community like that, you get to be a part of community like that. And even for me, like I have a community like that now, but I still join group coaching programs for the reason of building relationships. That to me is the funnest thing, to know I've got connections all over. In fact, I'm looking at going to an event in Phoenix in December, and I reached out to a few clients and friends of mine who live in Phoenix. And I was like, I might be going to an event. Like, can I stay with you? I have like 3 places I could be staying. And I'm like, how fun is that? Right? Like to be in part of these communities. So we will be having Biz Besties check-in posts. And again, it's one of those things where the more you participate, the more you get out of it. But I'll be really encouraging like people to share like a landing page or a concept or an idea or test each other's quizzes out and kind of be that level of support for each other. Number 2, constantly learning and growing and taking new trainings and new education. Like I'm always learning something new, always. Thank God I love school and I love to learn, because I don't actually know how people can do a business like this without being challenging themselves regularly. But then from there is actually the implementation. It's one thing to just go and like listen to a training and then never do anything about it. That's nothing, right? Information is nothing. It's implementation and integration that matters. And so one of the things I've set up in the Abundant Business Mentorship is to have the implementation calls, which are like co-working calls. So we start off with the teaching call, we go into a Q&A call, and then the third call is we actually like do it, right? So there won't be a lot of talking. You can be on your Zoom, but like just working. It'll be quiet. We'll be working. If you have a question, you could unmute and ask the question, but it'll be like, we're just doing the steps that need to be done, right? And it's like that concept of like body doubling, of having somebody side by side with you makes it so you actually do it. It's in your calendar, it's scheduled, you can make it happen, right? So implementation. Number 3, having somebody that will point out my blind spots to me, and also having somebody who will like remind me it's a good idea. Because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I get a new idea, I'm like, I start out excited and then I go to implement and I run into some difficulties, because that's a guarantee. When you go to implement, you're always going to run into some difficulties, but that takes the wind out of my sails. And then I start to think, oh my God, my idea sucked, or it wasn't good, or it's not going to work. Right. And that's where I need to go back to my coach or somebody who understands my vision and be like, this is what happened. Help me to understand. Does this mean it was a bad idea? Or does it mean I just need to, make a tweak or make an adjustment, or this is just a growing pain, right? And having that other set of eyes on my business is so helpful. So helpful. The amount of time I see people like spinning their wheels and wasting weeks and even months on a roadblock that's just a growing pain, because they didn't have someone tell them, like, keep going, do not give up, like just keep moving forward, right? And it puts you back, and it's uncomfortable and it's painful. And I think the hardest part to me is just that, like, the self-doubt that can really creep in. And so that's why, again, we have the Q&A coaching calls, and why you get the one-on-one with me at the very beginning, where we design a business plan and I write it out for you so that you can check in with me, figure out like what's working, what's not working, come to one of the calls and be like, this is where I'm at right now. Is this a growing pain or a problem? Right? Like, and work through it. Mindset energy work. This is not necessarily a mindset and energy work class, but you guys know how important the energy is to me. I have started making myself these audios, you guys. and I listen to them all the time. And I figured out how to like make these like, audio tracks with the binaural beats in the background. And I've just been making them for myself. But it has been blowing my mind with how powerful these mindset tracks are. So I'm going to be including these mindset tracks in the class that you guys can listen to, in the digital classroom whenever you want on your own time, according to specific themes, right? So like I made one for myself a couple weeks ago to keep my energy in check during this training, and I've been listening to it once a day. And I'm like, why did I not think of this sooner? Because I'm always the person who's listening to Joe Dispenza on YouTube or, whatever. Like I've got different people I listen to, Lee Harris, and I'm like, I use those people's voices and whatever. But I'm like, this is custom to me and what I need. So you guys can submit topics and be like, this is what I need right now. I need a topic around such and such, and I'll make a track for you because I'm just loving it and having so much fun. And then I'll just put it in the library and it'll be there for everybody. So we're gonna do that. And then the other piece that has been saving my life is ChatGPT. And if you guys have downloaded the guide, you'll know how much I'm in a love affair with chat right now. Because I've trained it to understand me and my business, its answers are really powerful. So what I'm creating for you guys is a guide to go with every module so that you can use ChatGPT to help you brainstorm, not to help you write it, because I don't think it's a great writer. But for example, one of the ones I did the other day was I copied and pasted a sales page into chat. And I said, what's missing in this sales page to make it a high converting sales page? And a couple of its points, I was like, meh. But a couple of its points, I was like, oh, genius. And I, with my wording and my whatever, I put them in. But I wouldn't have thought of that if I hadn't got that encouragement, right? So I'm saving all the prompts I've been using, and I'll be creating a guide for you guys in each of the segments so that you can build that relationship as well with chat. And yeah, so the program, we start October 1st. It's $19.97. There is a payment plan of $347. If you're Canadian, it's Canadian. If you're not Canadian, it's US. If you want a monthly coaching session with me, it's just an extra $300 a month. And that way you kind of get the group plus private coaching together. And normally private coaching with me is $1,000 a month. So it's a good, I don't know, easy access point, let's say. I also have a full money back guarantee. So if within a month, like within the first month, you will have gotten your one-on-one session with me and everything. If you decide this is not for me, you'll get a full refund, like whatever, full refund. I have no hoops to jump through or whatever. If you decide it's not working for me, I don't want you to have buyer's remorse. There's nothing worse than that. I want you to say yes because it's right for you. And yeah, the other piece I would say is to consider the ROI that you are looking to create in your business. So again, you can refer back to the number that we circled on Friday of like, how much money do I want, right? And then knowing the investment in this class is $2,000, what would it mean for you if this was the step that was able to help you get there? Now, for me, when I look at ROI, I look at a couple of things. I'm like, does this investment get me ongoing money, or is this a one-off thing, right? Because I'm not really interested in investments that get me one-off money. I want to know, is this something that's going to like sustain me over time? The other thing I will say is you're not going to get, I shouldn't say that. It's happened to clients before. It's unlikely to get your full ROI instantly. But that to me is the same as making incremental changes that stick versus making a dramatic change that does not stick, right? So knowing if we're building something foundational and you're starting to see the revenue increase, right? As you build these steps in and you're making the tweaks to see your conversion rate, those types of changes to grow your income are going to be more lasting, right? And repeatable, right? If you make shifts in your niche, now you know what to do. So you can repeat them. So those are kind of the things I like to think about with my ROI. Most of the time, if you were to get a coaching training to provide some type of support like this, it would be anywhere from like $6,000 to $20,000. If you wanted to do it privately with me, it would be 6,000. And if you wanted to do it with the group, it's 1997 or 349 for the 6-month training. And yeah. Oh, should I share testimonials? Do you guys want to see a couple testimonials really quick? I will share really quick. If I can find my screen that I need to share to. All of my clients are always very open in sharing their experiences. So if anyone wants to talk to somebody, you're totally welcome to ask me or ask them. But here's a few examples. So Jessica, oops, can you guys see my screen? I think you can. So Jessica did not have a business when she started working with me with numerology, and didn't even really want to study business, but business came with the numerology, advanced numerology when she took it. And so within 3 years, she built a thriving 6-figure business from zero. Anne-Marie has been a client for some time now, and she's the one who actually made her entire investment back within like 6 weeks of taking practical numerology. But she's in my business trainings as well. And, learning the marketing framework was really able to convert clients into her workshops and then use those workshops to bring clients into her paid programs. And then Kirsten's a client who's been a client since 2015. And I actually forgot how long it had been since she was a client, but I reached out to her the other day and I was like, hey, like, you've been a client for a while. Do you want to write a little testimonial for me? And she was like, I've been coaching with you for almost 10 years. I'm like, what? And she's like, I'll never not want to coach with you. So like, And a lot of you guys have heard me talk about my business bestie, Carly. She and I actually started by being each other's clients. I had hired her to learn Ayurveda, and then she ended up hiring me for coaching. And in setting up a better structure in her business, she was able to go from she only had a stage 1 and a stage 2. So we helped develop the stage 3 for her. And in developing the stage 3, she quadrupled her revenue. And this was years ago. This was like probably 6 or 7 years ago now that she did that. So I've refined my system since. Yeah. So I hope you guys join. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I know I still have a few emails to get back to, but I will be doing that today and tomorrow. And if anyone wants to book a one-on-one call to find out if this makes sense for them, let me know, or send me an email with your web link and your social link, and I will just respond by message. Yeah, but we're starting October 1st. So your first thing will be to be booking in with the one-on-one business call with me, where you'll get your business report as well. I am booking this as a cohort, but I probably won't be launching it again till next year, because my next big launch will be numerology in like January, February. So I won't be doing another business training for at least 6 to 8 months, because I will run this one pretty much to its completion before I would start doing another one. Yeah, if you want to book a one-on-one with me, absolutely. Either DM me or I think there's a calendar link in the email I sent out last night. If not, I'll make sure I include one in the next email I sent out. Amazing. Any more questions for me before we wrap up today? Yay. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. Yay. See you in an hour. If I could have an ask too, if anybody feels like they would like to send me a testimonial or some words of affirmation from what they got out of the training, I would so gratefully receive that. And yeah, like I said, if you guys have any questions about the program, we start in a week. Oh my gosh, October's in a week. How is that possible? Amazing.
And Megan, didn't you mention that the first month is kind of a lot of the one-on-ones, and we start doing the later in the week, and it's Tuesdays at noon Pacific time? What was the day? What was the day of the week that you were
What was
doing?
the day of the week? Did I say Tuesday?
Oh, you said Tuesdays. I'm in Maine, so it's 3 hours ahead, and I could have sworn you said noon.
Yeah, noon Pacific. So it's the same time as this call.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think I said Tuesday. I think I said Tuesday.
Tuesdays.
I should know that, but I'm gonna write down Tuesday and double check.
I'm pretty sure because I have two other groups I'm in and they're Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and I was like, ooh, this is perfect.
Yeah, I think it's Tuesday.
Okay, cool. I just would love to do that, but I can talk to you again in about an hour.
Yay, perfect. Yeah, so yeah, it'll be Tuesday at noon, and our group calls won't start till the end of October, but I'll need to make sure I get all of you guys in for your one-on-ones in the first like few weeks of October. Aw, thanks, Carly. You guys are awesome. All right, have an amazing day, and I look forward to chatting with you guys. Mwah. Bye, everyone.